Namaste all. This is Dr. Ramya Krishnan, and today I am presenting before you what is happening in conventional Ayurveda. So actually I would like to exactly focus on this aspect. We must be knowing actually not only the community of Ayurveda but also the outside people must be knowing what exactly is happening in conventional Ayurveda. So first of all, now we are in a crisis, national crisis, and we know that it is nothing but a viral infection, which is technically termed as COVID-19. So what is the real viewpoint of Ayurveda in COVID-19? Ayurveda does not have COVID-19 or virus. There is no description of COVID-19 or virus, even the mentioning of virus or bacteria or fungus or anything like that in Ayurveda. Ayurveda has innate standard means in this science to diagnose, differential diagnose and treat infective fevers of all kinds based on logics and principles derived by both basic and applied research of SBEBA, science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda. So even though Ayurveda is explaining, there is a vast chapter called Jwara, inside which fever is considered as an independent disease and not a symptom, and all the probable cause mechanisms of fever, infective and non-infective means, are explained in that chapter of fever. Jwara. Jwara is the technical term for fever in Ayurveda. So based on conducting basic and applied research in the principles which are explained in Jwara chapter of fever in Ashtanga Sangraha, Charaka and Sushruta, we, the pioneers of SBEBA, have streamlined specific and specialized methodologies, principles and logics to diagnose, differential diagnose and treat all the variable infective fevers which are rampant in the society today. So we are considering the host factors and not the pathogen factors. Why? Because the science is asking us to consider host factors. I'll be coming to that. SBEBA has a unique standardized scientific standard guidelines for different kinds of viral, bacterial, fungal and protozoal infections based on host highlight approach and not a pathogen oriented one. So this is the difference between, this is a very big difference because in modern medicine, this modern medicine is considering infection with pathogen is given due importance, whereas in Ayurveda, host means the subject who is affected by the pathogen is given complete emphasis or importance. So that is the difference. And COVID-19 disease as such, COVID-19 infection, new or old. Today, the standard care of COVID-19 is controlled by Western medical system in India. So not only in India, all over the world, because the technical terminology of COVID-19 and coronavirus is entirely the contribution of the Western medicine. So naturally, the standard care for COVID-19 is controlled by them. Western medicine has declared that as the virus is new, the disease is also new because they are counting infections based on pathogens, and hence when they estimate a new pathogen, they count it as new disease. Okay, and lots of research is required. Still, it is in the budding stage of research in COVID-19 in Western science. So lots of research is required in understanding. And at the same time, in scientific Ayurveda perspective, COVID-19 has its own highly specific and specialized mode of comprehension. What do you mean by comprehension? Understanding. So based on the nature of response of pathogen, nature of response of human body to the pathogen or immune system to the pathogen, there are certain technical logics and methodologies in Ayurveda which enable a scientific practitioner of Ayurveda to comprehend the etiopathogenesis, intrinsic etiopathogenesis of this specific infection inside the body of the host. So that is called host highlight approach. This host highlight approach is introduced by science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda because it is already explained in the text that host is to be given due importance in all sort of jwaras, I mean infective fevers. But what, where, when in this infective fever, viral fever, this bacterial infection, protozoal infection, malaria, chikungunya, dengue fever, H1N1, typhoid, all these are having chicken pox, all these are having variable approach of immune response to the pathogen. So based on the difference in the nature of immune response to the pathogen, we means SBBA pioneers have developed systematic guidelines for diagnosis, differential diagnosis and treatment of these infective fevers. So COVID-19, as it is among one viral fever, we have already developed guidelines and protocols. SBBA has already derived guidelines and protocols to treat viral fevers. How immune system responds to virus. So we are counting only response of immune system to the pathogen. So how immune system responds to virus differs from how it responds to another pathogen. So we are counting only that nature of immune response, and we have derived scientific guidelines specific to each infective fever for the first time in the history of Ayurveda. So virus new or old, humans the same old version of human beings itself. There is no doubt in that. As age advances, we are not getting an extra additional limb, 3 hands or 4 legs. We are not having 4 stomachs or 2 stomachs. We are not having single lung. We are having 2 lungs, 2 kidneys. These things, basic structure and functioning of human body is same as long as human being exists as human being itself. So virus might come and go, develop into new strains, etc. But irrespective of all that, human beings are the very same old version, irrespective of what they eat, what they do, what they wear, etc. Because whatever mechanisms are happening in the inner part of the body remains the same. So in such a situation, what is more important is intended to be the impact of the disease in human beings more than the name of the disease. So this is what is called host immune response. What is happening inside the host during infection, and how does it cause alteration in the disease, mode of manifestation of the disease, progress of the disease, prognosis of the disease, complications and resolution of the disease inside the host. These matters are given due importance in science-based, evidence-based Ayurveda. A recognized medical system of a country, Ayurveda, is such a unique system which does not count pathogens but rather only counts the response of the immune system to the same, the cause mechanisms of which are elaborated in our scientific medical treatises in any kind of infective fevers. But we have to do some applied research. That's what SBBA had done. Applied research, basic principles, scientific logics and principles are there in our science. But we have to streamline the logics and apply in newly emerging infections. We have to study in patients, and we have to understand whether these principles are exactly adapted to this particular kind of infective fever. Translational research, it is done by SBBA, and we have emerged science-based, evidence-based solutions for all the different types of infective fevers. Hence, it is important to pertinently employ the innate logics of this scientific wisdom of Ayurveda to estimate what is counted as new disease by the conventional system, which is not but done today. So even though SBBA is doing this research, and SBBA is successfully practicing by the principles of intended principles of science-based medicine, but conventional Ayurveda is not applying the logics of innate science of Ayurveda. Instead, they are going behind the exact modern research methodology. So what I mean to say is that Ayurveda cannot be distorted. Ayurveda cannot be distorted. This innate and independent medical system of India does not deserve to undergo any form of distortion, adulteration, or compromise in its deals with human lives for the sake of uncertainty-led opinions of other medical systems. This point I would like to emphasize. If this fundamental truth is neglected with vested interests, it will be the worst misfortune for the nation and our people. Ayurveda is not any tradition, culture or heritage. If it is a tradition, culture or heritage or tribal practices, definitely we have to seek some evidence for its existence and approval. But Ayurveda is not like that. Ayurveda is science-based medicine. It is already having an evidence-based science background for its to explain its rationality and innate scientificity. So there is no need to gather evidence from outside and attach to the science and call it as evidence-based medicine. We have inbuilt and outbuilt evidences. So science-based medicine. Ayurveda is innately science-based medicine, standing on its own very independent solid basement of science-based evidences to rationalize its very healthcare decisions and application in man. There are standardized clinical research methodologies for validation of scientific application of Ayurvedic diagnosis explained in Charaka Samhita, differential diagnosis and treatment, while those principles are translated to infective and inflammatory disorders, which are streamlined and discovered by pioneers of SBABA, myself and my husband, Dr. Rajkumar. A system having its own independent tools for validation. It is already there in the science of Ayurveda, Charaka Samhita. It does not require external guidance for the same. So, if our science is having everything to validate our application, why do we need to go behind some alien techniques from outside? That is my question. Science-based medicine, a science with deterministic mathematic logic of methods, theorems and principles. We don't have any theories. We have only Siddhantas. Siddhantas means theorems. Parikshagir bahuvidam parikshya hedubir sadhayitva stapyade nirnayaha. It is proven and established by multiple scientists by multiple methods for multiple centuries. So it is proven hedubir sadhayitva. It is rationalized by cause-effect relationship. Such things we are having. So our science is a deterministic science, just like mathematics. It cannot be compromised to be evaluated by probabilistic, uncertainty-led, this reductionist statistical methods. Second, unlike the Western medicine, which is medicine-based science, we know that Western medicine, when disease comes, naturally hunt for medicine starts. Is it not? When a new disease comes, hunt for medicine begins. It's not, Ayurveda is not like that. Okay, Ayurveda is exactly the reverse. It is science-based medicine. Modern medicine, we can call it as medicine-based science because their science is entirely based on medicine. Whereas in Ayurveda, it is science-based medicine. Whatever medicine or non-medicine method we are using, we are led by specific and specialized logics in our science. So it is entirely contradictory to each other. Hence, trial and error hunt for medicine in any disease is completely silly and stupid approach in Ayurveda. So this is the truth. When innate scientific validation procedures exist in this independent medical system, adopting alien baseless tools to validate application of a science. In the bracket, application of science is not testing for efficacy of an unknown compound. See, this makes it very clear. What is application of a science? Application of a science means the logics and principles which are applied in the science are to be translated into the patient's circumstances, tested and verified. That logics are to be tested and verified. Logics are already proven and established in the science of Ayurveda. They are to be tested and applied in viral fever. And the effectiveness of those logics in the particular context is to be verified. Instead of doing that, searching for unknown, like some unknown formulations are made, like you mixing some compounds, mixing some single herbs and making some formulations and then trying it by RCT, like for benefits and risk. It is not the intended way of evaluating the science of Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is not medicine based science. We are treating patients by science and not by medicine. So there is clear-cut demarcation between the two. So there is no common standard care. Nowadays, standard COVID-19 care means what is considered in Western medicine is standard care. Okay, I agree. But coming to Ayurveda doctors must also adopt the standard care of Western medicine as universal standard care. How can a universal standard care happen with different medical systems? Every system has its own identity, its own way of application, its own rationality, its own innate scientificity. So in such a situation, how can there be a common standard care or a universal standard care for a disease? I am asking for a disease. Okay. So standard guidelines from the standard guidelines of Ayurveda to deal with any disease in humans. Okay, because science is not merely a tool, rather it is originally the brain behind the working tool. This point I would like to emphasize. Statistics is a tool, okay, but if you want to evaluate the brain of a science has to be applied, not the statistics. I don't understand why it is a matter of simple common sense to know this fact, that brain of the science is to be applied to evaluate a science, evaluate a medical science or a non-medical science. There is a brain for Ayurveda. So by ignoring the brain, evaluating by some tools is of no use. So the brain has to be evaluated. The scientificity of application of a medical system is entirely dependent on the precision, transparency, reproducibility of its own innate logics of science, and not merely upon external tools of validation of analyzing benefits and risk of a compound. So, tool of evaluation. The scientific external tools of evaluation of performance of Ayurveda is the evaluation of impact of particular science-led clinical decision in unique cause circumstance of particular subject. So it's very simple to know. How can you evaluate the performance of Ayurveda in viral fevers? For that, one should be knowing the approach attitude of Ayurveda in viral fevers. How does Ayurveda understand viral fevers? And in this particular viral fever, how does Ayurveda understand COVID-19? And what is the scientific comprehension of COVID-19? Okay, and Ayurveda does not treat a disease. Ayurveda treats a patient. So when a patient comes to you, in that patient, COVID-19 positive or negative is immaterial in Ayurveda. Why? Because there is no virus in Ayurveda. So understanding the immune response to that infective agent, whatever it is. So sometimes it could be bacteria or virus or whatever it be. Understanding the nature of immune response is possible by evaluation of the nature of disease in that person. And there can be multi-tangled morbidity also. A person can have many other diseases also, which will definitely cause an impact on his infective status, and vice versa also. Infective status can cause an impact on his multi-tangled morbidity, other diseases. So by estimating all together, the totality, that subject is estimated. There are logics and principles in Ayurveda to estimate that subject on the whole. And we are not referring from department to department. Suppose a person is having headache and earache in infection, we have to manage infection itself and not refer to ENT in Ayurveda. So there is a lot of difference between Ayurveda and modern medicine in dealing with infection. So in such a case, blind evaluation of benefit risk of an unknown compound or even a known compound in a random population is of no use, because we are dealing with realistic patients. We are not dealing with populations. Of course, when we deal with populations, every individual patient is material to us. It's not like out of 2,000 people, 20 people died, you don't care, benefits outweigh. It's not like that. In Ayurveda, it's not like that. Every subject data is important. Every subject we have to rationally apply science. For that, the research is intended. So it is not possible to estimate by a compound. Hence, currently adopted randomized control trial of compound after compound is unscientific in Ayurvedic research. Highly evolved, specific and specialized. Ayurvedic medicine and treatments have innate science-based, specific and specialized, evidence-based recommendations. See, it is very much specialized, very much specific also. General to specific, it is not specific to general. Always from general principles, you have to go into the patient, probe into the patient, and you have to understand the unique circumstances inside the patient. And you have to understand what, when, what principle is to be applied here, when, where, how, why, etc. based on unique cause circumstances of the subject. So this is how it has to be done. If it is not medicine alone which is responsible for the intended effect of reversal of disease in Ayurveda. Not only in Ayurveda, it's not medicine alone which is reversing the disease. Because Ayurvedic medicines are not working by masking, blocking, suppressing, altering or supplementing natural pathways, enzymes or hormones. If you are doing some adjustment, you can evaluate the working of the medicine easily. Whether medicine is blocking the pathway, whether it is suppressing the enzymes, or whether it is blocking synthesis. These things can be evaluated easily. Ultimately, it's not meant to reverse the disease. They are using terminologies like control, modify, etc. So if it is meant to, if something is meant to reverse the disease, it should be working for reversing the cause mechanisms of the disease. Do you get me? If you want to reverse a disease, whatever you are doing must be reversing the cause mechanisms of the disease and not some adjustment like suppression, blocking, masking and some symptom modifying drugs or NSAIDs, blocking pain, blocking fever, chemicals which are responsible for raising body temperature, blocking them, pain causing chemicals, blocking them. It's not like that. No adjustment is explained in Ayurveda because Ayurveda is a science which clearly insists the physician to reverse the disease. We have clear prognostic standards also, which all conditions are reversible. We can estimate that also. But what I am telling is the ultimate objective is to reverse the disease and not to do any sort of adjustment. So reversing is affected by diet and regimen of the subject also. See, it is very, very complex mechanism. You cannot reverse a disease like by giving some suppressant. If you want to reverse the disease, you must understand the cause mechanisms of the disease, what all internal and external factors modify the cause mechanisms of the disease. If you use a wrong ingredient in your diet also, it can modify in the case of infection, inflammation, etc. When the patients are not on immune suppressants. Immune suppressants means whatever happens, whatever wrong diet is taken, no immunity is working because immunity is suppressed by some chemicals. That is not the case of Ayurveda. Okay, so when Ayurveda is treating fever, we should be extremely cautious and the patient should be extremely responsible for whatever he is doing. These things we are to educate also. So there is no use of evaluating the action of a compound in fever in Ayurveda. And in Ayurveda, fever is not mere rise of body temperature. We have to go deep into the fever. So here it is, hence it is ridiculous to evaluate the action of any medicine or treatment alone in a subject by not caring for what he eats, what he drinks or does throughout the day, which significantly alter his immune, metabolic and cellular drainage mechanisms and impact the clinical status, the means of which are logically specified in this science. It's not something imaginative what I'm telling. Everything, if you use this thing, what will happen? What are the mechanisms which will trigger inflammation? If you use oil in infection, everything with cause mechanism effect. It is explained in our science. Then what is the use of testing a compound by RCT in population? This is very simple logic. So blind mimicry of modern research methodologies is what is happening today in Ayurveda. It is an extreme level of injustice. Okay, it is a worst form of injustice to this brilliant science and its potential, real intended potential to save the humanity. So ignorance is not bliss. It's high time we should realize, we should look inward. Despite of doing this blind mimicry, we are doing mimicry for past many years and having not reached anywhere also. At least we should be ready to learn from our mistakes. If things are not working as intended, despite of not working also, we are continuing the same old pathways. We are not ready to unlearn and relearn. We are not ready to look inward. Why it is so? Still the community does not care to rethink, unlearn and relearn. This is the saddest part. Actually, this is the reason why I came to present this thing. Because I don't know how to interact with the world regarding the real problems in conventional Ayurveda. I find this as the only way of interacting with the world. When Ayurveda is not treating by medicine but by the logical principles of the science to reverse the disease, what is the purpose of wasting money and precious medicinal plant resources for new drug development? We are having so many medicines. We are having endless medicines, innumerably high. No student is able to memorize all the medicines in Ayurveda explained in fever at least. This many medicines we are having. Medicine doesn't matter. What matters is rational application, rational understanding, rational translation of principles in the science, choosing the right medicine wherever medicine is required, choosing the right one and applying in the right way. All these are crucial components of Ayurvedic research. We are not focusing on any of this. Instead of that, we are developing new and new drugs to claim that we have medicine for this disease, medicine for that disease, etc. I don't understand exactly what is the necessity of doing this. Does anyone care truth? If anybody is there to care the truth, it is high time to look inward what we are doing, because we have medicinal plant scarcity. We are talking in webinars and seminars. We are having medicinal plant scarcity. Still, we don't care to misuse them. So we ourselves are responsible. Unless we change our policies, unless we look inward, unlearn and relearn, we want a complete rebuilding of our science today. Because right now it is in a very detrimental status. When there is no virus and pathogens counted in the system, why to do utter baseless screening for antimicrobial studies with Ayurvedic medicines? Please think. There is no pathogen explained in the science, but at the same time, science explained means to reverse infections easily without caring for pathogen. In such a situation, why do you do this baseless screening of antimicrobial studies with Ayurvedic medicines? Really, I don't understand. When the science has innate scientific ways to explain, explore and expose the scientificity of its application, what is the need to adopt entirely incompatible ways to make absurd claims with new and old formulations? What is the necessity of doing that? I don't understand. When there are solid scientific principles of pharmacodynamics and kinetics explained in this science itself, in the science of Ayurveda itself, why to neglect the same and go behind the principles of phytochemistry, phytochemical analysis? So these are some of the unanswered questions. How did we decide, we means Ayurveda community, decide that we are meant to do adjuvant care for people, especially when we have standard care? Why, on what basis we are deciding that we are doing adjuvant care? With standard conventional protocols, we are doing adjuvant care. So on what basis we have decided that we are meant to do adjuvant care, especially when our science explains standard care for all infective diseases. This is my question. On what basis we agree to adopt the standard care of Western medicine as the standard care of patients approaching Ayurveda? This also I would like to know. Whether any standardized scientific comprehension of infective fevers and COVID-19 in Ayurvedic perspective exists. What I am finding other than SBEBA is a mix of irrational explanations, like nowhere it is connected to science. Such empirical irrational explanations are being contradictory explanations are seen in various articles which are published in journals. Other than SBEBA, SBEBA has a standardized approach of understanding and managing infections. And to what extent it is implemented in the current conventional standard care? Even when somebody is having also, maybe somebody is having some rational principles for understanding COVID-19. Ultimately, what is done in management of COVID-19 is entirely different. No way in relation to that innate logics of the science. Because we are doing randomized control trials and developing new compounds to claim that we are having COVID-19 drugs. So everything is exactly mutually contradictory to each other. So I don't understand exactly what is happening in conventional Ayurveda. So kindly reply to this. By neglecting the innate scientific Ayurvedic standards in infective fevers, how will the adoption of certain compound-oriented RCT trials and integrative medicine-oriented multi-centric trials become so-called scientific trials in Ayurveda as addressed today? Because we address these trials as scientific Ayurveda today. On what basis it becomes scientific Ayurveda? Because Ayurveda is science-based medicine and not medicine-based science. And we are having innate logics and principles to understand infection, diagnose and manage infections. Instead of doing that, we are adopting certain compound-oriented. Could be through classical medicines or new medicines, whatever it be. Compound-oriented blind RCT trials are being done. How can we call that approach scientific in terms of Ayurveda? That is what I am asking. So we have to modify our research according to biostatistics, etc., to stay updated. Then let me ask, what is the need of learning research methodology in Charaka Samhita? What is the need of learning basic principles of diagnosis and differential diagnosis and management of all the diseases, including Jwara, from Charaka, Sushruta and Vagbhada? So those things are to be deleted from the text. We don't need to learn all that. Why to learn all that only for exams? That's what I'm having a doubt regarding this. Because being a faculty myself, I am teaching Charakas, Ashtanga Sangraha, Susruta, everything. I am teaching them application also. But when they become doctors, ultimately they are compelled to do this kind of things in their practice, research. And when they treat patients, they don't know how to apply science, how to translate science into patient. They don't know whether they can go for these compound-oriented research data published in peer-reviewed journals. So entirely people are in complete chaos. They don't know how to choose medicine. So this is what is happening in conventional Ayurveda. On what basis ICMR is able to evaluate the quality of performance of an entirely alien system of Ayurveda to them? This is what I don't know, I don't understand. Indian Council of Medical Research, as I understand, is a governing body which deals entirely with modern medicine. So how can they devise rules and regulations to govern an alien system to them, Ayurveda? Because they don't know even the fact that Ayurveda is science-based medicine. That's why they are asking to prove compound after compound, right? So they don't know the basic attitude and approach of Ayurveda even. In such a situation, how they can govern the research and other policies of Ayurveda? This is my curiosity. I would like to hear some authentic people answering this. On what basis empirical compound selection based on antimicrobial claims becomes scientifically approved treatment in infective fevers in Ayurveda? This also, I would like to get authentic reply from authentic people. So, independence is mandatory in my opinion. It's not my personal opinion. There are a group of people who think like me. It is entirely suicidal to blindly neglect the very innate scientificity and potential of a medical system and crave for the same. We are having that. We are having inborn scientificity, but instead of exploring and exposing the innate scientificity and potential by rational application of our science, what we are doing, we are craving for scientificity. When others are telling we don't have scientificity, you tell us what to do to develop scientificity. Yes, you go and do RCT. Yes, we will do RCT. We will publish. So how can we decide? By ignoring our own principles, which determine the rationality and scientificity. We are not doing anything. We are not caring to explore anything. Instead of doing that, how can we complain that? How can we judge ourselves as unscientific? And how can we adopt some alien ways to prove our scientificity? This is one extremely complex thing. If Ayurveda is a system which is yet to emerge scientificity and establish scientificity, first of all, what is to be done? The practice, clinical practice, teaching and research of the system has to be frozen by the government till its scientificity is established and exposed. I think this is really needed. If government thinks that Ayurveda is yet to become scientific or not yet scientific, yet to emerge its and establish its scientificity, which means currently it is unscientific. It is yet to emerge scientificity means currently it is unscientific. So when it is adopted as a professional course, all the students, we all have studying this +2, +1 and +2, and we are getting qualified with very good ranks. We are not nearly, just by very few marks, we are coming to BAMS. Most of the people prefer MBBS because they don't know the basics of MBBS, BAMS, BHMS. But external charm they are looking for. And of course, those who want to do some other financial prospects also. So, every doctor means doctor is scientific practitioner. Qualified doctor is intended to be scientific practitioner. There is no question in that. So, if the scientificity of Ayurveda is yet to be proven or yet to be delivered, then the system does not deserve to be in a professional curriculum. I mean, a professional course. This is what is confusing me. If it is already approved as a professional course, then it is a scientific medical system with its own scientific background. So it must have its own independence in all its deals of clinical practice, research and whatever it is. So, but this is something which is really confusing. The quality and intended service of one medical system cannot be distorted at the expense of another one, as the health and lives of people are gravely compromised with this. Why do we need to distort our scientificity of our medical system for the sake of other medical systems? Really, I don't understand. We are taught by our science. We are given clear instructions by our science how to estimate the scientificity, how to go for scientific application of your treatment. Our ancient scientists have emphasized repeatedly the necessity to do scientific practice. Vina tarkena ya siddhi yadracha siddhi revacha. They have told parikshagarino kushalo bhavanti. One who does research, one who emerges scientific guidelines by translational research, he becomes proficient in clinical practice. So don't think that it is like some herb and random administration of herbs, kitchen therapy, etc. We are having lots of research methodologies. Our ancient scientists have explained what kind of methodologies they have adopted in doing basic and applied research, and they have also explained how to do translational research. Everything is there. Then why do we need to try to adopt some external incompatible means to prove our scientificity? Why do we need to compromise our own science? I mean, to do something fake, we are losing our identity. Why do we need to do that? That is my doubt. So research in Ayurveda is an inquiry into the intrinsic evidence-based cause mechanism effect of the particular topic of research. And we are having theorems, laws and principles to guide us inside science. Research methodology in Ayurveda is primarily aimed to solve a clinical problem and not aim new drug development. We already have so many medicines. We are doing research to understand what is the method to reverse the disease, how and why. Okay. Researchers hence must deeply know the particular study is chosen on the basis of what scientific rationale adopted from basic and applied Shastra, why and how, and not regarding how to calculate mean, mode, median and standard deviation. So translatory research is what is being done in SBABA. Researchers should have specific and specialized understanding of various tools and techniques explained in Shastra to translate appropriate guidelines from the medical lexicons to appropriate clinical situations. Despite of variable clinical situations, even for the same disease, there are inbuilt diagnostic and treatment standards which are very consistent to specific cause mechanisms of the situation, which are developed by SBABA. SBABA is developed in 2012. We had the first publication. After that, we have conducted research. Before that itself, we started. 2003, we started doing research, translational research, and we have discovered specific and specialized guidelines for treating many kinds of disorders prevailing in society today. Let it be metabolic or circulatory or infective, inflammatory, immune disorders, allergy, autoimmune disorders, everything. We have developed streamlined basic science by applied research for updated application of Ayurveda. So scientificity refers to trained common sense in science. This message I want to convey. Scientificity refers to trained common sense in science and not in statistics. So every researcher in Ayurveda who designs his study has to consciously evaluate the scientific basis of the chosen study based on inbuilt rational standards of this science and not the logics of statistics. Because statistics is a tool, as I told, the brain of science is guiding research. The brain has to guide research. Tool is just to estimate. We can apply data also, no problem. Before treatment, after treatment, how much time requires for the patient to recover. All these things are fine, but we cannot do RCTs. We cannot do many things what they are doing. Because we cannot screen population, we cannot blindly administer compounds. Because our science-based medicine does not recommend to blindly administer compounds. So how can we do that? So if an architect is constructing a home, he has to first evaluate judiciously the basis of why he is selecting the particular size, number and location of doors, windows, etc. And the very particular building materials. Why this building material itself? He is considering the climate, weather, changes of that place, so many things, soil, everything, and based on different factors. It's not like one factor alone. So many different factors are considered by the architect while deciding the material to choose. To build home. So similarly, an Ayurvedic researcher must be able to rationalize and expose his decision regarding each and every subtlemost component of unique circumstances of problems and situations. These are guidances provided in the science. Okay. Every physician is recommended to be an excellent scientist in Ayurveda. Parikshakarino kushalo bhavanti. To become a proficient practitioner, one must be an excellent scientist who is doing translational research. So Ayurveda, this is the conclusions like Ayurveda is meant not to please WHO. I get the answer why I am asking why we need to adopt all this. People will tell me, people who debate with me tell that we have to please World Health Organization because they are, according to their standards, we have to move. Then only we will get approval. So I am having these questions. I am having these points. Ayurveda does not treat infective fever by antipyretic or antibiotic. Hence, it is foolish to hunt for both these different kinds of stuffs, antipyretics and antibiotics, in the label of research of Ayurveda. If World Health Organization is seeking anti-aging drugs and Western medicine is perfect match to them, that does not mean that other systems, I meant specifically Ayurveda, should compromise its very identity, quality and potential for the sake of acceptance of World Health Organization. So this is something which is very, very clear and simple. Ayurveda has its own innate identity, potential, quality. Why do we need to compromise all this for the sake of acceptance of WHO? Why should we go? Ultimately, every medical system is to save human beings. It is meant to save human beings. It is meant to protect human beings. Two factors: save and protect. And saving should be done by protection. Okay, so for that purpose, and protection to be done by saving. So such medical systems are to be evaluated whether for their quality of performance. There is no doubt in that. We cannot do something and tell that we are scientific. There should be quality evaluation parameters. There should be clinical audit. I agree. But all the standards for doing all these are explained in our science. How to evaluate the clinical decision making, how to evaluate judgment, how to evaluate whether your decision is correct in this situation. Everything our science is giving us logics and principles streamlined by SDAV. In this situation, why do we need to go for approval of WHO to get acceptance? So this is what I would like to hear from very authentic experts. I sincerely believe that somebody will respond to this very positively. Don't consider this as this is all my confusions. Being a faculty working since 2005, I have started my journey of teaching and research and medical practice, and now it is 15 years over. So I have been asking myself this question for the last 15 years. Just imagine the pain I am undergoing. Still I am yet to hear any reply to these questions. So WHO does not deserve to appraise the quality and standards of Ayurveda because they do not know Ayurveda at all. I am sure if I am getting a chance to interact with WHO, I can convince them these matters. In that case, if they are telling, no, we cannot give you approval for your methodologies, why to seek their approval for Ayurvedic methodologies? Ayurveda is a very established independent medical science. It is not a tradition. So this message I would like to convey that Ayurveda is not meant to please World Health Organization. Rather, it is meant to save and protect human beings from every sort of health calamity. By conveying this message, and I thank each and every one of you for your perseverance, patience to listen to my speech, long speech, and I will be back to you again. If I feel to interact with you on these aspects, kindly, if you like my video, do kindly share with maximum people, and I sincerely believe that there will be one day when the people, authentic people, will reply to me, to my questions. Thank you. God bless you. Stay blessed. Jai Hind.